What's going on, friends, friends, and family? It's Sunday here in the United States of Siege, and of course, the distinct stench of Trumpster fire rages on. The latest in all that is happening is that Minnesota is, in fact, still under fucking wartime conditions, right? And that's not an exaggeration. People are scared to leave their houses. The supply chains, in a sense, are breaking down, and that people are, busting their humps trying to help feed and take care of their neighbors who are terrified to leave the house because ICE is patrolling the street and getting bolder and more blatant in their fascist Gestapo tactics. I mean, I'm starting to think that the whole Lysistrata tactic about, just not fucking them won't work because at this point, they only got to be fucking each other, right? Because they've been deployed, ain't getting any love locally. I'm convinced that ICE is, let's say, handling their own business in-house. Anyways, well, then again, that would explain that rise in grinder profile stuff whenever MAGA comes to town. I don't want to dig too deep into that, right? Of course, JD Just Dance Vance and his plane load of food arrived in Italy, not only making potentially, well, costing one of our figure skaters the chance to perform her full routine. Also just kind of being, well, JD, so that's generally just an ass. Anyways, what else? Oh, one of our Olympians decided to show that their displeasure with the current regime, as there is a photo making the rounds online of one of our skiers who peed out a protest. That's right, peed out a protest, utilizing nature and a full bladder to artfully and very, I gotta say, legibly spell fuck ice. So, given the temperatures and everything else, hats off to you, sir. Meanwhile, in Minnesota, as part of the protest, things have escalated in such a beautifully absurd way. ICE agents are getting dildos thrown at them. That's right, the dildo of justice knows no bounds as it seeks to find out ICE and mark them permanently with plastic or latex phalluses. I'm all for it at this point. I mean, make a statement in any way, shape, or form. Although, to be fair, you also might be showing them a good time because see the aforementioned comment about them not getting that loving at home, the whole Lysistrata failure, right? I mean, what it boils down to is this. We have a couple of choices, and Minnesota is demonstrating this very, very clearly, which is we can just fuel ourselves on rage. And don't get me wrong, rage and spite can be relatively sustaining. In fact, it's proven itself to be so, as I know people who are probably well past their expiration date who are hanging on simply to see this regime fall. So I'm not going to work with the machine in the interest of prolonging their existence. However, I appreciate that will to be, despite all that is. Um, when I say so, the other path is kindness. Like there's a report that came out that gamers live streamed a Twitch thing and raised $250,000 to help feed their neighbors and help with rent support because again, funding is limited, and of course a state that's under siege is probably having a hard time generating income. So creative ways to help divert funds and send funds to Minnesota as it rages on, I think, are greatly appreciated. If you've got any ideas, feel free to post them and share them because who knows? I mean, they say there's nothing new under the sun, but people are getting creative as shit in these strange days and times. That said, we can't forget kindness to each other as well because, again, the majority of Americans more and more are proving themselves to be displeased, dissatisfied, and fucking pissed, rightfully so, with the state of things. Support them. Be kind to them. Be kind to each other. Because it's easy, with nerves frayed and tensions at an all-time high, to let that emotion get misplaced. The rage is only directed at the machine, and maybe that one motherfucker who keeps chewing too loud. Y'all know what I mean. That said, we honor the memories of Keith Porter, Renee Good, and Alex Preddy. We stand with Minnesota and Maine. We believe the survivors, right? We believe Sasha, Carrie, Amanda, and so many others who are coming forward. I can't wait for what happens after this file drop this week. But more importantly, as you rage, remember to channel it in the right directions and rise the fuck